FPL Gameweek 36 Best Captain. Guys, let us end the debate, the dilemma of thinking who is the best captain for Gameweek 36. We are going to take a look at teams with the worst defense and look at also the players that we are considering for the captaincy. See their form from past 6 game weeks as well, so that we can actually see, and also looking at it in terms of whether it's home and away, so we can actually see who is the best in terms of numbers and what I've got to do. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, let us do this. So just going straight into it, my first captaincy choice top pick, you can see down there, is Bryan Mbeumo. I think based on the feeling that he is actually the best captaincy option for this game week, followed then by Yohan Wissa. He has been the man in form, scoring in like the past 3-4 games as well. So I think if you're going for a differential captain as well, playing against Ipswich, he is definitely the man to go for, followed by Chris Wood himself. Not in form at all, but we cannot ignore the fact that he is playing against Leicester City. And what I have done for you guys right next to me on this side, if you want to check out, if you're going to be with me, is we're going to go through the stats of the worst team's defense as well, and really sum up why we think these are the top 3 captains. So let us get into it. So we are considering Marmoush, Wissa, I wouldn't say Gibbs White, but along with Chris Wood, the actual Nottingham Forest picks as well, which is why I've included Gibbs White, Wood, Kevin Schade as well as another option differential, because some of you are considering to bring him in. Elanga, of course, and Kevin De Bruyne, and then of course Mbeumo there at the bottom. Now, starting with the table at the top, that one there is, quite frankly, as you can see, ordered by XG. It is a table done from game week 30 to game week 35 of the play of their form on away, because they're all actually playing their fixtures away. So what is their XG away? And at the top we have Marmoush. Unbelievably, say this because he actually has one of the worst records in terms of scoring away, and for me, this is why I actually haven't gone with him as my pick for the game week as well, along with the uncertainty of what his position is going to be, because of hearing of Erling Haaland coming back as well. Now, I say this because when Erling Haaland is back, he is moved out a bit wide. And I think for me, when Erling Haaland is playing, he is also at mostly dangerous, because Erling Haaland sometimes drops to somewhat collect the ball, play it back, and he's then running behind the line, because Erling Haaland dropping actually brings the defender with him. And we know Marmoush, when he makes those runs, he's absolutely dangerous with Kevin De Bruyne on the end of that pass. So look, he is definitely an option, which is what I've got him here. He's got the best non-penalty XG and the best XG as well, but the mere fact that he's away record when it comes to scoring, and the fact that his form as well, for me, is one of the biggest things as well. He's just not in form. I would have to say, nah, he's a no for me. And this is why, for me, Wissa makes it into my top 3 captain, which you can see in the second there. He's got the next best non-penalty and XG there. He has been returning in the past 4-5 games, so he is the top form striker. And I think if you're going differential and you're trying to actually gain, I think Wissa is actually your captain. Now, Bryan Mbeumo for me is at the bottom of this table, and I'm moving on to him because he's also a Brentford asset. I put him there because I think the majority of all of us are going to look to Bryan Mbeumo over a person like Wood, who is number 3, more so because Bryan Mbeumo has a higher point ceiling, being the fact that he is a midfielder scoring. It gives him a 1 more point more when over Wissa, and I think he's also better when it comes to bonus points as well. So that's why a lot of us are eloping to Bryan Mbeumo, and I think if you're trying to protect rank, I do think the majority of engaged managers are going to go Bryan Mbeumo again. And I think I always say this to myself, the mere fact that the person didn't return in the previous game week, I think all the more means that he is going to return. And we all know that the fixtures against the bottom 3 are the ones where the team, or the player, is definitely going to turn, definitely has the opportunity to turn his form around. So Not that it's been down, as you can see, his form is like 6.8 there below me, and of course it says even higher, which is why I prefer him if you're going for differential. But yeah, I think Brian Mbeumo is also a great pick. Now let's just go on to Gibbs White, Wood, and also Ilanga in terms of Nottingham Forest. Sorry, before I go on to that, let me just touch on Shada. Look, for me, Shada is not even as a punt. Now I put him in here because before his scoring his double against Man United, the guy hadn't scored since like, geez man, World War II. So he's really a wild card, and I can't even put down why he scored, why he didn't score in the previous like 7-9 games or something like that. So I wouldn't even consider him even as a punt, but I was just basically filling up the table here. I thought maybe it's something to add there. Maybe it even helps you making your decision should you actually bring him in more as a punt. I think over Kevin Shard, which is a nice segue, I would actually put Ilanga there more so than him, because I feel like Ilanga consistently gets into those positions near Wood on the break, and we even saw this in the previous game against Crystal Palace where he had an opportunity one-on-one with a pass from Wood and just couldn't stick it away because he was under pressure. So I feel like Ilanga for me is a better, and price as well is slightly a bit more, it's 5.4. Shard is 5.1, so I don't think it's really something that is that bad. Although Kevin Shada has a better XG right now, I still would actually put Ilanga there. But when it comes to the Nottingham Forest players, Wood is above all because of his bonus points. So that man, like one goal, just like Cunha, no honesty, becomes almost like an 8-pointer, 9-pointer, quite frankly. So I would, if you're going to be captaining anybody from Nottingham Forest, it would definitely be Wood. For me, Gibbs White is the man before the shot. He is the part that passed before the shot, so he's more on the assist side, but you do see him making those runs along with on that break as well. As you know, they do tend to sit back and then somewhat go on the counter when they are, and Ilanga's that person who's actually making that run down on the wing, where Wood is then making his way straight into the box, and that's what I would also focus on, is Ilanga and Wood rather than Gibbs White, who tends to get the shots there and there, but he is also on set pieces as well as Ilanga, as well as we saw. Ilanga is also on some set pieces there as well. So there are people to really consider. Now, you probably think to yourself, Kat, what about Kevin De Bruyne? What about Kevin De Bruyne? Now, Kevin De Bruyne's non-penalty XG and XG are really low. Of course, he's hardly really taking those shots. He's really only had 4 shots there as well. 3 outside the box, 2 inside, 2 outside. So big chances created as well. And this is, remember, this is away form. They're playing away, not necessarily the best. But here's the real thing for me that is the real stickler here, is that segueing into the table form below. I've actually got 2 tables there, and the one you can currently see, Southampton is right at the bottom there on non-penalty XG, meaning that their defense is a lot better than the Leicester and the Ipswich one, which is right on top, right? Now you see the table has just switched right now, and you will see them move up to 3rd, still behind Leicester and Ipswich, because what I wanted to show you was, no, man, I'm going to have to remember that. What I wanted to show you was, yes, it's the XG and non-penalty XG, which is necessarily really the difference there in the 2 tables. So the XG is high, but the non-penalty XG is actually very low. And non-penalty XG, I think, for me, is necessarily the bottom line because of people having penalties and people not taking penalties. So Ipswich and Leicester, regardless of it being XG or non-penalty XG, these guys are really conceding, and they really have like people taking chances against them as well and being able to concede as well. So the ones really conceding the most shots as well is Leicester. And this is the hard thing I think about the captaincy, is knowing that it's an out of form team, Nottingham Forest, playing the worst defensive team at home, Leicester. And also their striker, Wood, who's like, if Wood was in form this game week would be shut down in terms of captaincy debate. We would all go, it's Wood, it's done. But because he's not in form, we're like, kind of tough, you know. I mean, like, Wissa and crew are doing it down there, and who's Wood? I haven't seen that guy since, like, since he returned back in, like, 2024, you know. So it's whether or not you think that Wood can turn his form around in this game. I think this is why, for me, they're in my top threes, because the teams they are playing are the worst. You know, if like I said, if Wood had been in form, he'd been playing well, I would put him there. Now, you look at last game he returned, which was against Tottenham. He played against Brentford, Gameweek 34, and then played against not Spurs, Crystal Palace just recently. I would say two teams who fairly are, of course, their defense is a lot better than Leicester. So maybe he really does need a weaker defense. You know, he is still getting into those positions, getting some of those opportunities as well. But they're clearly just not being put away. The team itself as well got a couple of injuries, and we're going to have to listen and hear out on the team news really by Friday. But as it stands, from this, for me, being the worst defensive team being Leicester, then Ipswich, and then I'd say Southampton there, but not more so on non-penalty XG, which I consider to be a lot more, which is over non-penalty, which is over XG, because that's including penalties. At home, remember, this is the worst team defenses at home, and then the players table is for the players away form, because they're all playing away. I would rather go for Mbeumo number 1 as the best captaincy. If you want to roll with the crowd, if you want to go against the crowd, Wissa is number 2. His point ceiling is just lower, so be ready for that if Mbeumo returns more than him, because they could definitely both score. But Chris Wood cannot be ignored, considering he is playing Leicester, and his bonus points as well really work out for him when he starts to score. So yeah, I think if you believe that if you believe that Chris Wood can score 2 goals at Leicester, I say captain. If you think that Mbeumo will score 2 goals at Ipswich, I think captain him. I think if you see Wissa score 2 goals, I wouldn't captain him over an Mbeumo scoring 2 goals, because of course it's higher, you know. That's why for me Wissa's like second. I just, even if Wissa scores 1 and Mbeumo scores 1, it's like, where do the bonus points go? I think they mostly go to Mbeumo, you know, and that's why he's number 1 for me. So Mbeumo 1, Wissa 2. If you're trying to gain, if you're really trying to take a punt, then you can go to Chris Wood if you believe he scores 2 goals, because Mateta scoring the other side, you're gonna really need Wood to actually score 2 goals. So yeah, that is my captaincy dilemma solved there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please also remember to subscribe. Really appreciate you guys' help with this channel. It really goes a long way. So yeah, let me know who's going to be your captaincy in the comment section, and good luck for the game week, guys. Peace.